What's up, family, and welcome back to another episode of King's Creations with Nick. Now, in this episode is going to be a continuation of the episode I posted a few weeks ago with our Biscoff chocolate chip cookies. Well, today we're going to be making a Biscoff cookie butter pound cake. So, I'm so excited to share this recipe with y'all. And so, before we get into today's episode, let's drop that intro. All right, y'all. So before we get into today's recipe, I want to show you all the ingredients we're going to be using. So as usual, we're going to be using our Swan's Down cake flour. We also going to be using some baking soda, baking powder, salt, regular granulated white sugar. This is dark brown sugar, vegetable oil, some Biscoff cookie butter, the creamy kind. For our flavorings, we have some cinnamon, some vanilla bean paste, cake batter extract. We also be using some pan perfect release. Also, we're gonna be using some sour cream, eggs, unsalted butter, and for our garnish, some Biscoff cookies. So let's get into our equipment. All right, so here's the equipment that we're going to be using for today's recipe. Of course, we're going to be using our sifter and our mixing bowl. I will be using my stand mixer today, but you also can use a hand mixer if you don't have a stand mixer. We also have some measuring cups for our liquids, some measuring cups for our solids or our dry ingredients. We have some other measuring spoons for our flavorings, our spatula, our whisk, and this is a 15 cup Nordic ware bundt cake pan. All right, y'all. So we're going to start on our dry ingredients. And so what I have here is 3.5 cups of Swan's Down cake flour. Now you can use whatever brand of cake flour you like, but I am a huge fan of Swan's Down. So that's the brand I'm going to be using. So there goes 3.5 cups of cake flour. Now we're going to move on to our baking powder. We're going to be adding in a half teaspoon of baking powder. And as a reminder, I will always list out the ingredients and the measurements in the description box. So the whole recipe and the measurements will be in the description box, so you don't have to take notes or anything like that. All right, so there's our half teaspoon of baking powder. Now we're going to move on to our baking soda. All right, so we did our half teaspoon of baking soda. All right, so that's in our sifter. So now we're going to move on to our salt. So with this recipe, we're going to be using 1 teaspoon of salt. And so as you can see, I accidentally started measuring out in my half teaspoon measurement. And so I couldn't really go back. And so what I'm going to do is just add in this half teaspoon, and then I'm going to pull another half teaspoon, and it'll give us 1 teaspoon of salt. All right, so that is 1 teaspoon of salt. All right, and last but not least, we're going to add in our ground cinnamon. Now, we will be making a cinnamon glaze to go on top of the cake along with the cookie butter glaze, but I want to add some of that cinnamon flavor into the cake itself. And so that's why we're adding in 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. All right, so that's 1 teaspoon. And so what we have in the sifter so far is 3.5 cups of cake flour, a half teaspoon of baking powder, a half teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. So what we're going to do now is just go ahead and sift our ingredients. All right, and so I like to sift all my dry ingredients for my cakes and my cupcakes. I don't normally do them for if I'm making like a cornbread from scratch, or my sweet potato cornbread muffins, something like that. I'm not going to necessarily sift those ingredients, but for my cakes and cupcakes, I always like to sift my ingredients because it's going to help the cake batter or the cake be a lot more fluffier. You're incorporating air when you're sifting your ingredients. You're also getting rid of a lot of those lumps that you would normally see in cake flour or all-purpose flour. All right, and so we're almost done sifting. We're going to press down some of these final clumps. And now I'm going to take my whisk and I am going to just give this a quick stir to make sure that everything is fully incorporated. And then what we're going to do is put our dry ingredients to the side, and we're going to start creaming our butter, sugar, and oil. So we'll be back once we have our butter, sugar, and oil ready with our stand mixer. All right, family, so now it's time to start creaming our butter, sugar, and oil. And so what I have here is 2 sticks of unsalted butter at room temperature. And so normally for me to make sure that my butter is at room temperature, I just always take my butter out the night before. And so this has been sitting out overnight, and so it's ready to go in the morning when I started baking this cake. And so that's our first stick of unsalted butter. We're going to go in with our second stick. All right, so now that we've added our 2 sticks of unsalted butter, we're gonna go in with our oil. And so I'm using vegetable oil for this recipe, and this is 3/4 cup of vegetable oil. And so what vegetable oil does, you can also use canola oil, that adds moisture to your cake. Even though this is going to be a pound cake, one thing that I hate is having a pound cake that is very dry in the middle. And so I always like to add oil to my pound cake recipes just to make sure that they're still moist. So now that we've added in our our butter and oil, we're going to allow that to go for about a minute just to make sure that it's well incorporated. And then we'll come back and add in our sugar, our regular granulated sugar, and our brown sugar. So we will be back shortly. All right, family, so our butter and oil has been mixing for probably about a minute. So what I'm going to do now is turn off my stand mixer. And this is where you want to take the time to scrape down the sides of your bowl. So as you can see right here, some of that butter has gotten stuck to the whisk. So I want to make sure that that's scraped down so that it's properly creamed. And so I'm also going to take this time to add in our sugar. And so what we're going to do is go in with 3/4 cup of regular white granulated sugar. I'm going to add that in. And then what I have in this bowl is that I've already measured out 2 cups of dark brown sugar. You can also use regular light brown sugar, but I had dark brown sugar in my cabinet, so that's what I'm using. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add that in. And another fun fact, and another reason why I'm adding in brown sugar is because it adds moisture to your cake. And so if you watched my sweet potato cornbread muffin video, you saw that I actually added brown sugar there as well, and that's to add that moisture. All right, and so now that I have that in, I'm going to go ahead and allow this to cream for about 4 to 5 minutes. And so we will be back once we have fully creamed our butter, sugar, and oil. All right, family, so we have been creaming our butter, sugar, and oil for about 5 minutes. And so what I'm going to do now is turn off our stand mixer, and I'm going to scrape down the sides of our bowl. So as you see, our butter, sugar, and oil has become a lot lighter. It's fluffy. I'm going to go ahead and scoop out a little just to show you the consistency that we're going for. So you see that it's light, it's fluffy. And so that is the consistency that you want before you want to proceed with your cake. All right. And so Now it's time for us to add in some of our flavorings. And so what I'm using here is some vanilla bean paste. You can use vanilla extract if you want, but I really do love this this brand of vanilla bean paste. I got this off of Amazon. So I'm gonna go in and use 1 tablespoon of vanilla bean paste. All right, so going in with that. So this other ingredient is optional, but if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that I love the taste of cake batter extract. And so I'm going to add in a half teaspoon of cake batter extract. This is optional. You do not have to add it, but I do think it really allows the taste of the cake to pop when you add this extract in. And so I'm going to go ahead and add in a half teaspoon of that. So now what I'm going to do is close our stand mixer and turn it on to a low to medium speed. And then I'm going to allow this to mix in for probably about a minute. And I'm going to take this time to clean up a little bit because the next thing we're going to go in with is our eggs. All right, so we're getting close to that 1 minute mark. And so what I'm going to do now is add in our 5 large eggs at room temperature. And so the key to this is that you want to add in 1 egg at a time, allowing each egg to fully incorporate before adding the next. So we're going to go in with our first egg. And you see, I'm going to allow that to mix in. And then I'm going to go in with the next. I'm just going to continue to repeat this until we've incorporated all 5 of our large eggs. All right, so we're going in with our final egg. So we're just going to allow this to mix in for no more than a minute. And then we will be back when we're going to add in our cookie butter and our sour cream. All right, everyone, so our eggs are fully incorporated. And so we're going to go ahead and turn our stand mixer off. And we're going to scrape down the sides of our bowl. This is something that you want to do periodically throughout the cake mixing process, just to make sure that all your ingredients has been fully incorporated. All right, so now that we've scraped down the sides of our bowl, we are going to go in with our cookie butter. And so what I have here is 1.5 cups of Biscoff creamy cookie butter. But they do have another type of cookie butter. I think it's called the crunchy or the chunky kind. I would not use that for this cake recipe, just because you want kind of a smooth texture. And so I'm adding this in. I did not warm it up to kind of loosen it up or anything like that, because I didn't want to mess up the consistency of our cake. And so I just measured it out into this cup. I'm just gonna put it into the cake batter at room temperature. All right, so get as much as you can into the cake batter. And then after this, we're gonna go in with our sour cream. And a note about the sour cream: if you've seen any of my other videos, I've used sour cream in a lot of my recipes, and that's because it gives the cake or cupcake, or I also use it in my sweet potato cornbread muffins. It adds moisture, and I love a good moist cake. And so that's why we're adding in this 1 1/4 cup full fat sour cream. And this must be at room temperature as well. Always make sure that your eggs, your butter, your sour cream, and if also you're using milk, make sure that all those ingredients are at room temperature. All right, and so now that we've incorporated that, we're going to close our stand mixer and turn it on to a medium speed. We're going to allow that to incorporate. And after this, we'll be back with our flour mixture. All right, family. So our cookie butter and sour cream has been fully incorporated. And so I'm going to take this time to scrape down the sides of the bowl just to make sure that there's no clumps of cookie butter or anything that's still left unmixed. And it looks like everything has been fully mixed in. So now I'm going to go in with our dry ingredients. And so remember our dry ingredients that we mixed in earlier. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And as a reminder, that was 3.5 cups of cake flour, a half teaspoon of baking soda, a half teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, and then 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. So we're going to go ahead and add this in by thirds. And so we're going to add in our first third to the stand mixer. We're going to turn it on, and we just want to mix this until you see the flour incorporated. You don't want to overmix, and so as soon as you see that at least the first amount has been mixed in, turn your stand mixer off. I'm going to do right here. So it probably went 15 seconds, and then I'm going to scrape down the sides of my bowl, just make sure that everything is incorporated, and then I'm going to go in with another third of our flour mixture. All right, so I'm going to close my stand mixer up and turn it on a low speed, a low to medium speed, and we're just going to allow this to mix until we can see at least majority of that flour mixture incorporated. All right, so we've allowed that to mix in. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and turn off our stand mixer. And then we're going to scrape down the sides of our bowl one last time. All right, so then we're going to go in with the last amount of our flour mixture. Go ahead and pull that in. And then we're just going to close our stand mixer and mix this for at least 10 to 15 seconds until we see the remaining of that flour mixture incorporated. All right, so we're going to go ahead and turn our stand mixer off, and we're going to mix by hand from here. And so what I'm going to do is scrape down the sides of the bowl, and then we'll be back once we have our bowl ready, and then we're going to incorporate some of our Biscoff cookies into the cookie batter, or to the cake batter. All right, family, so our cake batter is almost done. I'm just going to give it a last stir with our whisk. And then I'm going to add in our final touch, and that is some crushed Biscoff cookies. So I probably crushed up maybe between 8 or 10 of the large Biscoff cookies. And I'm just going to add them in to our cake batter and kind of stir them in. Once the cake, because we're going to bake this cake for probably about an hour and a half. And so about time the cake bakes, these cookies are not going to be hard or tough or anything. It's just going to really be baked in to the texture of the cake. And so it's going to be really good, I'll guarantee you. So trust the process. We added, I don't know, a few handfuls of those crushed Biscoff cookies. We're going to go in and get a few more. I'm kind of crushing them up. You don't want them crushed up too finely. You kind of want them in chunks. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add this on in. And then I went ahead and preheated my oven. We're going to preheat it to 125 degrees. And then we'll be back when we start to put our cake batter into the pan. All right, so our cake batter is done. And so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and start putting this cake batter into our bundt cake pan. Now, I did not film myself doing this, but I did spray our pan with our PAM Perfect Release. I started using PAM Perfect Release maybe a year ago, I went to Walmart. I was looking for Baker's Joy that was out of stock, and so I grabbed Pan Perfect Release. And once I used it, it worked like a charm. And so I've been using Pan Perfect Release ever since. And so what I did here is I filled half of our bundt cake up with the cake batter. And as you probably noticed earlier, I had some leftover Biscoff cookies. And so I went ahead and added those here just to make sure that they were all incorporated into the cake. All right, so this is the last of it. So I'm going to sprinkle it in the middle of the cake, and then I'm going to go in and add the remainder of our cake batter on top of this. All right, and so I also mentioned earlier that that I've already preheated my oven to 325 degrees. That's the temperature I bake my pound cakes. Now, if I'm baking a regular cake, it would be at 350, and we'll bake it for about 20-25 minutes or whenever it's done. Well, pound cakes you cook slower, and so we lower that temperature to 325, and this cake will bake for probably about an hour, between an hour and 20 to an hour and 30 minutes. You would, if I was you, I would check your cake in and around the hour and 10-minute mark, just to make sure it's not getting too dark on the top of the cake. If it does, go ahead and put some aluminum foil over that and then allow it to go for another 10 or 15 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just smooth this out on the top. Just make sure that none of those Biscoff cookies are exposed. And then what I'm gonna do after that is you want to shake and pat your bundt cake pan just to make sure that all the air bubbles are gone. All right. So you see here, I'm going to shake our pan. We're going to tap it at the bottom just to make sure that all the air bubbles are gone. And then we're going to go ahead and put this into the oven at 325. And then we will be back once our cake is done. So see you soon. All right, y'all, here we are. Here's the finished fully baked cake. It came out perfect. That Pan Perfect Release did not fail to impress once again. It's very nice and golden. So what we're going to do is allow this to finish cooling off, and then we'll come back and add our glaze and our cookie butter and finish the cake off. All right, family, so now it's time to start putting the finishing touches on our cake. And so what this is my homemade cinnamon glaze. And so what how I make this is I took a cup and a half of powdered sugar. I then combined that with 5 tablespoons of cold milk. And then I added in 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and then 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And I mixed it up thoroughly, and that's what you see here is my homemade cinnamon glaze. So it's pretty simple, but it's really good in terms of flavor, and it pairs well with the cookie butter graham cracker taste of this cake. And so what I'm doing here is just pulling the glaze on the top and then allowing the glaze to kind of move down the sides of the cake. That's normally how I do a lot of how I glaze most of my pound cakes. Is this, you know, it's easy. It's not like frosting a regular cake or anything like that. It's much easier just to pull at the top, and that's it. So what I have here is I took the remainder of my Biscoff cookie butter and I put it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. I let it cool slightly, and then that's what you see here. I'm just going to drizzle that across the top of the cake. And you see there it's really starting to come together now. And so this is going to really add in that final touch of Biscoff cookie butter taste. And so this is definitely my favorite topping for this cake. And then after I add in the remainder of this Biscoff cookie butter, I'm going to sprinkle some of my crushed Biscoff cookies on top, and that will be our final touch. So just adding in the rest of this Biscoff cookie butter, and then that's when I'm going to go in with my crushed Biscoff cookies. And so as you notice, I hurried up and put these cookies on top because that glaze and that cookie butter will, once it starts cooling off, it will get hard, and then these cookies won't stick to the top. And so after you put the glaze and the cookie butter on top, go ahead and top it off with those crushed Biscoff cookies. All right, so we'll be back with the finished product. All right, family, here is the finished product. This cake is absolutely delicious. As you see, I normally don't cut into the cake, but I wanted to make sure I did that for this cake. As you see, it is absolutely gorgeous. I can tell you, it is super tasty. It is super moist, and I definitely recommend this cake, especially if you love Biscoff cookies. You're gonna love this cake. Well, family, that concludes this episode. Thank you so much for watching King's Creations with Nick here on Monarch Entertainment Studios. Once again, I want to remind everyone that the recipe and the measurements for this pound cake will be in the description box. And so until next time, y'all be blessed. Love y'all, and good night from the Queen City.